Necrons, the mechanical undead, waking from eons of slumber to reassert themselves on a galactic level. In Dawn of War Pro, the Necrons don't wage war, but they raid. Their advanced technology allows them to teleport over any distance to strike decisive blows to the enemy. In Dawn of War Pro, this is paramount to doing well with them, as the Necrons have no transport vehicles as the other races do. In this video, we will be covering the individual units of the Necrons with their pros and cons, discovering what makes the Necrons different from the other races in Dawn of War Pro, and we will look into their buildings and tech. Builder scarabs are the basic unit of the Necron forces. Though slow-moving, they are able to reinforce their numbers, decreasing the time taken to capture strategic points and construct buildings. They are also able to detect infiltrated units. The pros are they are able to construct buildings as well as capture strategic, relic and critical points. They can detect infiltrated units and 4 are available at the start of the game. Their cons are that they are slow-moving and expensive. Necron warriors are the core unit of the Necron army. They move at a medium pace, have medium firing range, and remain a great tool as anti-infantry throughout the game. Though outshined in damage by Immortals in nearly all areas, the larger squad size keeps them effective in their role. They are formidable in both ranged and close combat, though it is in ranged where they excel best. The pros for the Necron warriors is that they are a soft counter to all infantry types, and are resilient due to their resurrection. However, their cons are they are slow-moving and vulnerable to melee specialists and anti-morale attacks. Flayed ones are the shock troops of the Necron army. They are effective against infantry, however they have no ranged combat capabilities, but in close combat are durable, resistant to anti-morale weaponry, and have the capacity to knock units down. Further, they have an aura that lowers the maximum morale for all nearby enemies. Of particular note is their ability to harass. They can be loaded into the monolith and be deep striked into any visible location on the map, saving the energy and recharge required for teleporting, and allows them to be used as a relatively safe unit to harass with, quickly hitting generator farms and listening posts, and then be teleported away. Something to remember when choosing to deep strike or teleport, deep striking Flayed ones displays a targeting emblem on the ground where they appear. And though they cannot be damaged while crawling out of the ground, they are easily manoeuvred around during this period of immovability. In close combat, teleporting them directly to a pylon in the middle of enemy squads is always more effective, as they will be able to attack as soon as they appear. Pros of the Flayed ones is that they are durable, they have an aura that causes the morale of enemy units to break more quickly, can deep strike to any visible location for free, and are resistant to morale damage but not immune. Cons of the Flayed ones is that they have no ranged attack, and while their morale aura will reduce enemy morale, it will not break it on its own. Immortals are the primary anti-vehicle and anti-building unit of the Necron army. They move slow, have a small squad size, and are very expensive, but have ranged weaponry that is effective at a great distance. The pros of the Immortals is that they have an excellent attack range and can quickly destroy vehicles and enemy positions. The cons are slow moving, very expensive, small squad size, and very vulnerable to melee specialists. Wraiths are the fastest Necron unit. Though low in health and squad size, they do travel quickly and can be upgraded to go even faster than that. They are highly resistant to range damage and have a higher chance of sync killing than any other unit. Further, they do a great deal of damage to most armor types. They can detect infiltrated enemies and can decap points on the map, and are considered the Necron counter to Terminator armor, though the amount of Wraiths required to counter certain Terminator armor units varies. They are an excellent emergency defense when a distant listening post is being harassed by a single non-vehicle squad. In larger scale combat, even though they have a high ranged conceal, they will still fall to range damage quickly due to their low HP. The best ways to use them are being teleported right into the middle of enemy forces, or flanking them while they are occupied with your other units. They have the phase ability as well, which lets them temporarily take very little damage at the cost of doing very little themselves. In the event that you need to move your Wraiths into melee range against a mass of enemies, or move them away, phase can be effective at keeping them alive. The Wraiths' pros are that they are fast moving, can detect infiltrated units, high sync kill rate, can decap points, can phase shift to survive lethal attacks, and are resistant to ranged attacks. Their cons, however, is that they are low HP, they have a high vehicle cap requirement, vulnerable to melee from sturdy units like heroes and walkers, and range damage from units that can't be tied up. Pariahs are the relic unit of the Necrons. Though not affected by any of the upgrades the rest of the army gets, they are quite durable, can teleport freely like the Necron Lord can, do very good damage to demons, and have the same morale shrink aura as Flayed ones. On top of that, they can reinforce away from the monolith and are immune to anti-morale weapons. Pros of the Pariahs are they can teleport, have the same anti-morale aura as Flayed ones, very effective against demons, have high HP regeneration, and can reinforce in the field. And as of yet, the Pariahs don't have any clear cons. While attack scarabs are technically vehicles, they behave as a fast-moving tie-up and harass unit. They have low HP, so focus fire will kill them quickly early on, but as you purchase upgrades for your army and tier up, they become considerably more durable for the cost. You can build a maximum of 2 squads normally, but if you make a Tomb Spider, you can use it to produce a 3rd squad. Though not comparable to the flamers of other races, scarabs do excellent morale damage and can be used in concert with the morale shrink aura of the Flayed ones and Pariahs to quickly break morale and counter demons. They also are one of the best units in the game for tying up enemy units in close combat. On their own, scarabs make excellent harass units against undefended positions such as generator farms or level 1 listening posts. They also serve as a soft counter to vehicles, and in large-scale combat they serve as a buffer between enemy melee units and ranged ones, as well as a means of disabling the ranged hard counters of your opponents by dragging them into melee. The pros of the attack scarabs is that they are fast, inexpensive, able to quickly destroy undefended buildings and vehicles when massed, and are great for tying up enemies and doing good anti-morale damage. Their cons, however, is that they are fragile, extremely vulnerable to ranged fire, and even more vulnerable to non-flamer area effect attacks. Destroyers are a light anti-infantry hover tank. They can jump, they have excellent range damage, and they are also decent at base bashing if switched to melee. Their pros are that they are fast, can jump, effective versus all infantry armour types, and a soft counter to demons and buildings in melee stance. Their cons, however, is that they have low HP and are ineffective against melee specialists until upgraded. Heavy destroyers are almost twice the cost of destroyers. They're primarily used as an anti-vehicle and anti-building and are very effective in those areas. Their pros are they can jump, they are fast, they are sturdy, effective against all vehicles, demons and building armours, soft counters against all infantry armour types in melee stance as well. The cons, however, is that they are extremely expensive. Tomb Spiders are slow and powerful. They deal massive melee damage, can produce attack scarab squads at the cost of losing a portion of their HP, and can be upgraded to use long-range particle beams that are a soft counter to buildings and demon armour, and a hard counter to air units. Their most interesting use, however, is harvesting the bodies of fallen Necron units. After it's gathered enough, you can build brand new Necron units for free of charge directly from the spider. This, plus the particle beam upgrade, allows them to optionally function as a support unit that replaces your army, rather than a close combat tank type unit. Their pros is that they are effective against all infantry armour types, and when upgraded with a particle beam, they are effective against buildings at range. They can produce scarabs and recycle Necron corpses. Their cons, however, is that they are very expensive and they have a high vehicle pop requirement. The restored monolith is the only artillery unit available to the Necrons. Despite being their super unit, it plays more of a support role ultimately. It deals moderate damage to all armour types, can knock enemy units down with its particle whip, and can teleport, providing a mobile defensive position where you can reinforce and build units. The pros for the restored monolith is that it has excellent damage and disruption capabilities, provides a mobile teleport and reinforce point, and itself can teleport. The Necron Lord is the primary hero unit of the Necron race. He can teleport and create a pylon, which not only provides a point for your forces to teleport to, but provides a damage reduction bonus at tier 1 and a regeneration bonus at tier 2. The Destroyer Lord is more mobile and durable than a Necron Lord, being that it can jump like a destroyer, but in exchange he does not receive upgrades from relic armour. The Deceiver is available in tier 1, acting as a morale disruption unit using its melee attacks. With the first research it gains as an AoE attack, and the second research that allows its attack to gain an artillery-like ability. The Deceiver is a vulnerable unit, but can create illusionary doubles to keep itself alive. Okay then, so breaking down the unique traits of the Necrons. First and foremost, we have got a change in how you build generators. So notice how underneath the scarabs, there's a shiny little bauble thing. That means that we're able to build an energy grid tap. So pop that down there, and notice how there is a Necron slag volcano. And it's on that. Notice how anywhere else I can't put the plasma generator. Stick that boy there, and look at that. I'm on lab mode at the moment, so if you're wondering why these are being built so quickly, it's not because I've got super scarabs, it's because I'm on lab mode. So anyway, so notice how now that there's a plasma generator there, the scarabs lose their shiny orb thing. So if I move them away a little bit, eventually, there we go, see, it regains its shiny orb. So that means that you can't build plasma generators too close to each other, you've got to spread them out, them to be of any use. One other thing to note as well is that these plasma generators, when enemies come near them, they gain a reduced sight condition. There's like a little aura around them. If anyone gets too close, they can see less. It prevents, like, you know, people coming into your base and causing all sorts of mischief and all that jazz. So very similar to the vanilla Dawn of War, we've got a build time bonus thing up here, which dictates how quickly you can pump out units from your central monolith and other buildings. And to increase that timer, you build an obelisk, look at that, from 6% to 10%, and if I upgrade that, it increases from 10% to 14%. You'll notice as well that the more upgrades we put on and the more obelisks we put on, the higher our squad caps get as well. So the way that the morale works for these Necron warriors is that when they're of a healthy kind of morale, if they lose any of their boys, they are able to self-repair, just like in the vanilla game. When they lose their morale, however, in Dawn of War Pro, they lose their ability to self-repair mid-combat. And when that happens, you have a little Necron summoning icon that comes up here, which allows them to teleport back to the Necron monolith. Now, one difference between Necron warriors and Necron warriors in the vanilla game compared to Dawn of War Pro is that they can only reinforce their squad members when they are close to the monolith. If, say for example, I don't know, you send them into combat all the way over here and, you know, attack these towers over here, then they won't be able to reinforce unless they're near the monolith, or I do believe an obelisk as well. Another thing that can happen is that, say for example, you bring your boys out of the base and, you know, you want to teleport them back, but you haven't lost your morale, and your Necron summoning isn't there. Well, once you pop up a summoning core, your Necron monolith has a ability, it's called a displacement arc. You pop it on these boys, and for a temporary amount of time, these boys are able to teleport back to base. And there we go, look at that. And speaking of teleportation, the Necron Lord has an ability called a Raised Necron Tier Pillar. And this is like a little structure that Necron warriors and other people can teleport to. So if I pop one down there, that boy comes up. And then if I pop a displacement arc on those boys, then they are able to teleport over there. Which gives them quite a lot of maneuverability around the map. You're able to teleport in, shoot all the baddies, then when they're low morale, teleport back to the monolith. So lots of hit and run potential for that. Alright, so if the differences between vanilla and pro are out the way, let's have a quick gander at the buildings. So straight from the bat, you can have some Necron warriors or Essence of the Deceiver. If we pop down a summoning core, see that we can summon Wraiths and a couple of upgrades from here. This way we can also get some Immortals as well. Once we've popped down that, we've got our access to the Displacement Arc and the Flayed ones. If we throw down a Forbidden Archive, in fact while you're doing that I shall capture a relic. Yeah, you're able to summon your Necron Lord through here, as well as get all your artifacts, which I'll go through all the upgrades in a short while. Then able to upgrade, and we're able to do an ascension grid, which is kind of like you're able to teleport all Necron infantry, so it's kind of like a bigger version of your displacement arc. What else have we got? We've got a greater summoning core. Throw that bad boy down. That's where you can get most of your vehicles, so your destroyer, your heavy destroyer, and your tomb spider. Any other buildings I've got to see? Not quite yet. Throw down an engaged monolith. Throw down a energy core. And then that's where you can get your Pariahs and a couple of other upgrades as well. Now, you'll notice that, say for example, if I throw out a... Where are you? If I throw out a Lord Destroyer as well. So the Essence of Deceiver has a couple of abilities. The Lord Destroyer also has a couple of abilities. And the Necron Lord, wherever... Have I not built him yet? Ah, there we go. Necron Lord has a couple of abilities. So very similar to all the abilities that the Necron Lord can have in vanilla, but they're spread out more throughout the heroes rather than just all being on one dude as well. And I think that the Essence of Deceiver's got a couple of abilities that we're not familiar with. So Undermine. So yeah, so an ability that prevents them from reinforcing and requisitioning heavy weapons. Mind's Eye puts a little thing on them so you can see from their field of vision for a little while. And holographic projection, we're able to create 2 boys, and I think you're able to do that with any other unit as well. We've got our possession enemy vehicle for the Lord Destroyer, we've got our solar pulse, and our status field, and we've got our phase shifter, chronometron, and our resurrection orb. Now notice that most of these have a energy cost, so it's not exactly like you can spam all the abilities all the time. So that's just a thing to keep in mind. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the abilities one by one. Or sorry, not the abilities, the upgrades that you can get for the... Where is he? There we go, the Necron Lord. And then you'll just be able to pause the video and just have a quick read through them, as these are very good detailed tool tips that will explain each individual piece of hero gear. And then we also have our hero war gear as well, which pop those on. I do believe that gives him just bigger, shinier weapons. Look at that, glorious. I hope you've enjoyed the video and found it useful for learning bits and bobs about how the Necrons work in Dawn of War Pro. If you want some more information, some more details that will be able to explain it a lot better and in more detail than I can in just a little video, if you follow the links down below, you'll be able to find a Dawn of War Pro link where you'll be able to gain access to manuals and all that stuff. There's also links to the Discord down below, and there's a bunch of guys in there that any questions that I've not covered in here or anything that I may have missed out, you'll be able to ask those guys and they'll be able to explain absolutely everything to you. So, cool. Yeah, anyway, cheers for coming. Always a pleasure, never a chore, and I'll see you in a bit. Peace.